What is going on, hockey fans? Welcome back to episode 16 of Lightin the Lamp. I'm your host, Dola, and with me, as always, my co-host with the most, JG. How you doing, pal?
How are we, pal? How's everything? Hanging in over there?
Dude, been a heat wave out here in Cali, an absolute heat
We're
wave.
getting a little we're getting a little Cali breeze this weekend here. 80, occasional breeze. Today a little hotter than it was the rest of the weekend, but nice weather. Great boat weather on Saturday. Double Friday night. Just showing Labor Day what the fuck it's all about out here. Using the hands, working a double, and then straight out onto the boat, celebrating the grand old Labor Day weekend. So, just a good weekend here. Long weekend. I got off again tomorrow, so turned her into a 4, maybe 5-day weekend if I could get off Wednesday. And ready to get into some hockey here, man. Drinking some beers and get a little whacked here on this Labor Day Monday. Being that I am a labor guy, I use my hands for a living. I'm going to celebrate the shit out of this day. So that's where I'm at. What about you, bud?
I mean, it was great. It was kind of crazy. Me and the wife tried to head down to the beach, celebrate Labor Day because it was 110 degrees out yesterday. We figured the ocean would be just an absolute blessing to be in, but couldn't even get down there, not even in the parking lots. Everything was packed. I haven't seen like the Balboa Island or Huntington like this, and I got to say all summer. Like it hasn't been like this. July 4th wasn't like this. So kind of interesting to see. We never actually made it to the beach, and we ended up just going bar hopping and kind of getting tuned up all day. So
I think you're probably seeing a lot of people finally not so afraid to go out anymore. Things calming down a little bit in a lot of states, and you're going to get that little influx here with a little nice weather here for the next couple of weeks before. In most places, maybe not California, the seasons change. So
yeah,
same thing in Jersey, man. Not much room to do anything down here right now. Everybody's trying to get their little couple of weeks in because the rest of the summer was kind of a bust. So similar situation on this side. Very packed, crowded, a lot of shit going on.
Oh yeah. Well, happy to be back on episode of Lightin the Lamp with you, JG. What we're going to be doing here, fans, is covering all of the round 2 games just now that it's wrapped up, and we're already heading right into the Eastern and Western Conference final games. So definitely a lot to talk about, but like as always on tradition here at the Lamp, if you haven't tuned in before, fans, Dole's getting after with a little boot chug here, a little fresh one for the morning.
This one's gonna be a little tough, huh? Because when I did call you this morning, you sounded like a bag of shit. So might have been a rough one yesterday. It sounds like you were bar hopping all day. So I'm interested to see how this one works out at 10 o'clock in the morning in California.
Yeah, it's going to be great. It's going to be great. I got to say, I'm not ready for this one. Honestly, if you are betting, man, today's your day. But, I haven't had breakfast yet. So, there's that to look forward to. So
just a muffin and a couple of bathroom usages. And here we are, ready to pound the Budweiser.
We're lighting the lamp. Here we go.
Take her down, bud. Take her down. Ooh, that was a rough bubble. Again, if you were a betting man and you bet against them, you were fucking wrong again. So, Mr. Beardola here showing you why the college boys call Mr. Beardola. Burying yet another Budweiser 24. And today, we're going to be, I'm not going to be, but Mr. Amendola here is going to be with a Budweiser guy, somebody who works at one of the factory managers of plants. So, maybe we're going to start smacking some people around here and get a little maybe we're going to get some attention here from Budweiser finally after 16 chugs.
Just finally making my way out into the network of society and find a Budweiser guy. We're going to have some chats later. But JG, let's get right into this. And I want to talk about probably the biggest upset of just everything that we've watched, but the Islanders versus the Philadelphia Flyers. I mean, I called the Flyers in 7. I mean, it was as close as it could come, but I think you can claim victory on this one, man, and really celebrate by calling the New York Islanders to move on to the Eastern Conference Finals. Congrats, buddy.
I mean, just listen, the 7 games after watching what happened to start her off, I mean, I was like, damn, I really didn't even think they were going to win the series. You know how high I was on Philadelphia coming in, like them a lot. And, they made a comeback for sure. Carter Hart showing you Philadelphia for the first time in 35 years has a goaltender. It's a it's been a hell of a ride because, I mean, we play Philly every year, and every year they've been good, and the goaltending kills them. I mean, you had Michael Lightin play 6 games in the Stanley Cup for you, and you lose to the Blackhawks. And, maybe if you have a Carter Hart, this organization is winning cups for the last 7 or 8 years. So, I mean, they showed you that, that they might be here to stay. But the Islanders, boy, they're just they're in a stranglehold. I mean, they're showing every team they play, that they don't really care if they play boring hockey. They don't care if you don't like the way they play. They don't care if you watch them, but they're going to win. And they're going to find a way to do it. And they could score 4 goals. They could score 5 goals. They could win 1-0. I mean, it's.
Bro, have you seen the stats of what they're showing you in the third period? They are beating teams in the third period by like 20 plus goals. They do not lose any games. Like when it comes to the ratio of other teams' goals in the third period to the Islanders, it's like 24-2 right now. It's staggering what they do in the third period to teams.
Absolutely.
Like the Hawks back in 2010, dude.
At the end of the day, I mean, we got into this a few times, just like in the Washington series. To me, Alain Vigneault, great coach right now. Barry Trotz, #1 coach in the NHL. From 2018 straight into this season, he showed you every year that he can outcoach you, and he does it. He does it there again in Game 4. I mean, he strangles you defensively, and the boys bought in. I mean, the Islanders are scary, and they fit. They fit the mold of upsetting a Tampa Bay. I don't think it'll happen. I think Tampa Bay is very strong, but I mean, they fit the mold of a team that could strangle an offensive team like that. I mean, they can defensively strangle a team with firepower. So,
I mean,
it's going to be an interesting series they're going into after winning in 7. But I'm impressed. I'm very impressed. And you're getting scoring across the board, which is insane. Beauvillier's got 7 or 8. Anders Lee's got 7 or 8. Pajot's got 7 or 8. Martin's got 4. I mean, you're getting scoring from top to bottom.
Brock Nelson has been lighting it up.
Has 7 or 8. Another one.
Bailey is another one. Eberle is another one.
Bailey's been quietly, in my opinion, one of the best Islanders in franchise history. He's been there since he's 19 years old. Played on some of the shittiest teams the Island's ever seen. He stuck through. He stuck with them, and he fits in the Barry Trotz system well. And his vision out there is he's the most underrated Islander. Nobody talks about him. A lot of Islanders fans, you see on Twitter and stuff, shout him out. Obviously, they see him a lot more than everybody else. But, I mean, as a hockey fan who really doesn't pay much attention to the Islanders, he's quietly one of the best players in these playoffs. And
did you realize we didn't even name Barzal either?
I'm naming a list. And another one, Barzal, who was playing like shit coming into the playoffs, didn't play great in the first round, and really turned it around. I mean, by the end of this series, he was absolutely just flying out there. So, I mean, you're getting that depth. And, I mean, you got to look at they're down the middle. They're stacked. I mean, the Rangers are a team that struggles down the middle, looking for some depth down the middle. The Islanders, I mean, they got to be top 5 down the middle.
Dude, one thing I'm just worried about is just like their team, again, they're just in the same position the Rangers are. Just again with like Ilya Sorokin coming up, as we got Igor Shesterkin. They have a very young team. They're 2 like probably guys right now. Beauvillier and Barzal was from the same like draft class in 2015.
Another guy we didn't talk about, Josh fucking Bailey. Not Josh Bailey. What the hell's his name?
Pulock or Pellick too. Jordan Eberle. Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking at their lines right now. Your fourth line, your left wing on the fourth line is Matt Martin. He had 4 goals. You got Jean-Gabriel Pageau is your third line center. He's got 7 or 8. Brassard is lighting it up. Brassard's playing great for the Islanders on the wing. I mean, you got Brock Nelson in the middle, Matthew Barzal in the middle, and Pageau in the middle with Cizikas on your fourth line. That's got to be, after watching this playoff, one of the top 4 centermen 1 through 4 on a team in the league. I mean, they are deep down the middle. Brock Nelson is an animal for your second line center, and Pageau could easily be a second line center on the Rangers or any other team in the league.
Are you kidding? He was either on the first or second line for Ottawa, and they shipped him off to a team that could actually do.
Ottawa's garbage. I mean, you're looking at a deep team where you could have easily. Sorry, Ottawa. I mean, right now you're just garbage. It's the bottom line. Sometimes you guys are really good, but not right now. Jean-Gabriel Pageau could easily be the first line center on the Islanders. I mean, if Barzal kept playing like shit, You could have dropped him down to the fourth line to play with Brassard, which, I mean, imagine that combination flying around out there. It's just so many options for these guys. I mean, and you never realized it coming into these playoffs, but they're deep as shit. They're deep as shit.
And they got cap room too.
Yeah, and in the prospect pool, they're deep as shit. So they're not going anywhere. I mean, the Rangers have some catching up to do. The only problem they do have is they're looking at some big time buyouts at the end of this season, or they're going to have some real big cap trouble because
they still have like DiPietro contracts still
that's not even the problem. You got Johnny Boychuk is worth $6.5 million for another couple of years. I mean, he hasn't played in his season. He's on the cap. Nick Leddy's getting paid a little high for what he's producing at this point for these guys. And, they want to re-sign the Andy Greens, the Scott Mayfields, the Devon Taveses, the Pellics. So, they have some moving around to do, but for sure they have the foundation to win some Stanley Cups here. I mean, I think they're
Will they make it like the 80s again? Are we going to see a new dynasty out of the Isles? Huh?
I'm doing way too much talking about a team that I just absolutely despise.
I mean, just think about it, dude. The Eastern Conference is just going to be just every great team again next year. Boston, Philly, the Islanders, Washington, Pittsburgh, the Rangers is going to be, and even Montreal was looking great. We'll see what they do in the offseason, but I mean, great series. Islanders pulled it out.
Again,
absolutely. I want to even say hats off to the boys. We even saw, Philly, what we talked about in the last episode. I think it was episode 14, but Drew, JVR, Law, and Konechny, we needed to see them get going, and guess what? They did, right? They did. They brought the boys back.
A few games in a row, won a couple of games when he scored. I mean, you're right. I mean, they needed to come back, and they absolutely did. But
they rang the bell. There you go.
Again, right? They rang the bell, but then again, just like another series we're going to get into at the end of this episode, the Vegas series, I mean, they just fucking strangle you in Game 7, and they show you, yeah, we let you back in it, but we are that much stronger than you, and we're not going to fold. So, I mean, hats off to the Flyers for coming back, and hats off to the Islanders, who I can't stand, for just another impressive victory in a Game 7 and headed into the Eastern Conference Final. Man, congratulations, and let's move on from this. I've done enough talking about the Islanders. I can vomit. Just like when I look at the color of their jerseys, I could absolutely throw up.
I can't, dude. I mean, I went to U of I. I mean, I'm similar colors.
But I'm looking at your colors right now. I mean, that's a way better color combo than what the frig the Islanders are putting on. Those blue with the orange stripes, they're just horrific.
Dude, I'm rocking the Kraken hat, dude. You liking it?
You should send. I'm pointing at it right now. You should send the Islanders a copy of that jersey behind your head there. And tell them this is what you need to put the Isles logo on, because this is a jersey. I mean, the Isles Steez is just horrific. But let's move on to the Tampa Bay Lightning versus the Boston Bruins here before I abuse the Islanders a little too much and they win a cup. So let's get into Tampa Bay versus Boston here. I mean, not much for me to say. Obviously, you won this end of the bet here. I went for Boston. I thought Boston looked pretty goddamn good in the Carolina series, and they shut down a team that was coming in hot. So I really thought they were going to, out physical Tampa Bay, and with Pasternak back and everything. I thought they were going to figure it out. You proved to be actually right in the series pick. You didn't even pick the games right. We went way long, the both of us. I mean, Tampa could have easily won in 4. The fact that Boston even squeaked one out was, in my opinion, a miracle. I thought they played like crap. I was a little disappointed because I love to watch the Bees play. So not very happy with what I saw. But, I mean, again, hats off to Tampa Bay. Just absolutely strangling, dominating performance, in my opinion.
I would just compare the Boston Bruins performance to exactly how the New York Rangers performed against Carolina. They had kind of a – it was almost like, they had a couple injuries, but, just the wind got out of their sails a little bit. And it just looked like from then on, it was Tampa Bay series. And, Boston had some really nice individual efforts. I mean, you really saw some guys get fired up. Charlie McAvoy was mixing it up. I mean, Connor Clifton had a great series. I think,
you even saw – had a pretty out series.
I mean, I think you saw Pasta, you saw Marchand, you saw Bergeron. You saw some nice tip-tap plays. I mean, they were there, but like, it's just like, again, those individual efforts where it's not that full series of play in every full game. And then all of a sudden Tampa Bay has 30, 40 shots a game against your freaking goaltender, right? Like,
And to
you
me,
can
with
only do so much.
Tampa Bay finally put the pieces to the puzzle together at the deadline this year. They've been trying so hard to find the right pieces. And to me, I mean, Blake Coleman, you got Zach Bogosian, doesn't even play. That guy on any other team is a 4 through 6 defenseman. He plays every night and he eats 10 to 20 minutes a game. And, he's your seventh D-man. You bring him in when you want to play 11-7. You bring him in when somebody's injured. And, I saw a goal in this series that was just incredible. I mean, I think we talked about it already, the Blake Coleman goal when Bogosian dangled everybody.
And then Coleman stretching out with the stick. And then, that was Coleman's second goal that came in. He's like a third, fourth liner.
That's your third or fourth line. Yanni Gourde, Barclay Goodrow, and Blake Coleman. I mean, that's a second line on a lot of teams in the NHL.
Yanni Gourde stole the entire show for me in this series. Like welcome to the show, kid. Like he stood out.
I mean, I don't know if I've been watching.
He's been around, but like I think he's
a lot of Tampa Bay this season. Yanni Gourde turned into a star almost. I mean, he's this is why Tampa Bay has been good year in and year out, because they're able to let guys go, because guys like this come up and just absolutely light the lamp. I mean, let's not get too far into our podcast name here, but these guys have a ton of guys that just come up out of the Syracuse crunch and just we're gonna play with these guys and put up 30 goals and 30 assists our rookie year.
That one goal,
Cirelli.
like
the Rangers are going after Anthony Cirelli. Guy's going to be Selke Trophy winner possibly. 44 points in 60 games. He's 21 years old, 22 years old, whatever he is. He wins face-offs. He fights. And that's a guy that they can't afford to sign. But if you think about it, 2 or 3 years from now, that's a guy that's a 60, 70-point guy that they brought up, and they just couldn't afford to keep him because the amount of guys they do have. I mean, they have an embarrassment of riches from top to bottom. It's pretty impressive.
And think about this. Think about what they're doing without Steven Stamkos. And we were hoping to see Stamkos come back for at least the Eastern Conference Finals. He's out for this series too. But if they make it to the Cup and he comes back, I mean, just to even think that he's being added to already what they have, it's just freaking ridiculous. And I know he hasn't played. I mean, the energy level might not be there, but there has never been a single hockey player in the history, I think, of the sport that has ever come back from as severe of injuries as Steven Stamkos and performed as well. Maybe Crosby. He comes back and scores like 3 goals or 2 goals. It's almost unbelievable.
You're not going to see him in the Eastern Conference Finals. So, I mean,
no.
If they do get to squeeze by the aisles here and you see Stamkos, that's some injection. That's like making a trade at the deadline for Taylor Hall, like the day before the Stanley Cup starts. So it's like, you're getting an absolute weapon, a first line for a captain. I mean, a franchise leader is going to come back. I mean, possibly for the Stanley Cup. That could be humongous. I mean, but
think about that, just adrenaline rush of your captain and leader coming back just for those games. You want to get him there. I think the boys are going to be buzzing for him just to maybe get him back on the ice to get his name on that cup.
It's going to be a great series coming out of the East. I mean, obviously we have an episode coming up where we'll talk about all this stuff, but I mean, this is honestly, I didn't think I'd say, hey, I'd love to see the Islanders play Tampa Bay, but as boring as the Islanders started off the playoffs, they're not so boring to watch anymore. I mean, let's be honest.
They're unbelievable. They've been great.
They've been electric. I mean, when they came in, I think they tried to play their usual role and not get too ahead of things. And obviously, they've been out for a long time, so they tried to just strangle teams, play defensive, boring. They haven't been boring to watch the last series and a half. I mean,
they're scoring beauty goals, like
a lot of goals, a lot of east to west hockey. You got Matt Barzal, east to west, flying around out there. You got Beauvillier, north-south, up and down the ice, in front of the net, finishing goals. I mean, just an absolute, and you know what else? A friend of mine, an Islander fan friend, I've shouted him out on the show before. I'm not going to say his name again, but, he actually mentioned to me the other night, he said, look, when I watched the playoffs, like in the beginning, I said, he said to me, look at the ice. These games are going to favor guys that the Islanders have, grinders, third liners, second liners, guys that normally aren't big time goal scorers. You're playing on the same ice every night. These skill guys, They want to play on a clean sheet. They want to dangle. They want to move it. It's almost like this tournament format is working in their favor because they have that like muck and grind kind of defensive mentality, and they're not so worried about dangling and making pretty passes. And when the ice is chewed up, I mean, we're getting into how many teams played hockey on this sheet of ice over the last month and a half now. You could be the greatest Zamboni guy, the greatest, ice technician. You can do whatever you want. At the end of the day, the ice is chewed up out there. It's beat up. They've been on it every night, night in and night out. And, it's going to favor. It's going to favor the third and fourth liners.
When hockey players play 6 periods on a sheet of ice and then they have to go right into the next game, there is nothing that returns an ice hockey rink to normal after that. I'm sorry.
And so that to me was a huge point on his part. I mean, if you really think about it, a team like the Isles, a team like Dallas, who's skilled top 6, has a rough and tumble bottom 6, and plays a similar style to Vegas and the Islanders. They have like some defensive stranglehold.
Let's get into that series. Let's get into Colorado and Dallas then, because I really like talking about Dallas right now, and especially what you're talking about, right? Just like what's favoring, I think, Dallas is just like – and what favored Dallas in this series, because I think me and you were completely off. I think the entire universe was picking Colorado against Dallas. But
we picked Colorado, but I mean, I picked them in 7. So, I mean, it did go 7. I wasn't so far off. I said, you disagree with me a little on the fact that I was riding the series they had with St. Louis last year. And I think that people were underestimating the fact that they could have easily won the Stanley Cup last year. They could have been St. Louis. To me, whoever won that series when we were watching that playoff was the winner of the Stanley Cup. I mean, that series, I had to stay up late to watch it. Every single night there was a game, I was up because it was that exciting. It was that physical. It was that emotional, and it was a different element. The series was so great. And, eventually St. Louis goes on to win the cup. And I think there's a very good chance that after seeing Dallas steal one already, which, again, we're going to talk about in the next episode, big things on the horizon here for the Dallas Stars, and everybody counted them out. Nobody was interested. Not a single. I listened to the Chicklets boys. Nobody was interested in the Stars. Just impressive, man. I mean, they, again, very similar to the Islanders, and they play a heavy game like Vegas, like playing style more similar to Vegas than the Islanders. But the way the series are favoring them on these sheets of ice is a big deal. They're big, they're physical, they're chippy, they're around the net, and they're getting bounces, and they're not worried about, doing the pretty stuff. Kind of like Colorado played great, but when you have McKinnon and Landeskog and Cale Makar and all these
Landeskog was hurt, man. I mean, you had a few guys hurt on Colorado.
Andre Burakovsky, Nemesnikov. You have guys that they're not that they're not rough and tumble, because Nemesnikov goes in the corners, he throws bodies and stuff like that, but they're really, really skilled guys, and Dallas has a lot of guys that are, one-touch pass, like I want the puck off my stick, and we're going to move up the ice and go. And I think that this tournament format with the ice being beat up and stuff, I think it's kind of like I think it's favoring that style of play. Like, let's just move the puck fast, one pass, shot, one pass, shot. Let's go for a rebound. They're not, Pavelski gets the snipe eventually. You get Sagan snipes here and there, but you're seeing a lot of tip.
What about Joel Kiravanta?
What a stud. But we'll get into that. But again, you're getting all these tips and bounces and rebounds and things that happen when the ice is chopped up. And, teams like Dallas and the Islanders are taking advantage of their style of play and taking advantage of these skill guys on other teams who don't have the ice to make the plays they like to make.
Hey, man, it's just you kind of hate to see like what happened to Colorado. And, you saw like the exit interview, because I really watched Colorado. I watched that last game, Colorado versus Dallas. I watched the overtime. I watched the whole thing. It was unbelievable. And, just Nathan McKinnon, you just truly hated, heartbroken for the guy. Just like you saw his face when they scored. And honestly, like,
I mean, they went up 4-3, to be honest. I thought again, I picked another series dead on the button once they went up 4-3, and boy, was I dead wrong, because again, Dallas just showed you they're not going the fuck away. I mean, it's the bottom line. They're not going anywhere.
And to think about it, Andrew Cogliano goes down, right, with an injury, and with Dallas, next man up. So you bring in Joel Kivaranta. Kid has played 11 total NHL games just this year. 24, stepping up. Kid scores a hat trick in his first
game,
playoff game.
The big dub in overtime. Like,
yeah,
wow.
Hat
Like,
trick.
if that doesn't
Only
get
other
the
player
juice
to do this
going-
was Wayne Gretzky. So just to put that into perspective, and like the kid even said it in his exit interview, he was like, every child dreams of going to a playoff, going to game 7 and doing what I did today, and I got to do it. And the kid was over the moon. And then his comment was probably just spectacular. He was just like, yeah, I'm just hoping I get to play the next game, and that's just kind of like that hockey mentality, that team mentality that you gotta love.
Well,
just like,
which he played, but I mean, you knew he was gonna play after 3
yeah.
goals. I mean, but I mean, just a
He's just like, I just want to keep playing.
Not to knock the other leagues. I won't even get into the league names, but I mean, you don't see a lot of that around other leagues. I mean, he's just happy he got in the lineup, and hopefully I get in the lineup tomorrow night. And if not, I just want my team to win, and I'm happy I got to do what I did tonight. And it's just refreshing to see in the world climate we're going through right now. So, I mean, just a stud, smart kid, well spoken, and just what a fucking performance.
Listen, that game-winning goal was all hockey IQ. He was standing in front of the net, Nazem Kadri, and I don't know, there was a defenseman right there for Colorado. They were both standing right next to him. Nemestikov was honestly almost in a triangle surrounding this kid. He just moved 2 feet space away, found some open sheet of ice. No one picked him up. Someone went to the puck. Puck lands on his stick, quick shot at the net. Like, that's just hockey IQ. Find an open 2-3 foot of space, get the puck on your stick, shoot it at the net, and make something happen. And that's really all it comes down to. But usually when you're playing man-to-man, when you have a team like Colorado that is just so fast, they can play physical and they can play on you. And for a young kid that maybe gets moved off a body because Nazem Kadri is a strong type center, maybe he doesn't get that shot, but, just create a little bit of space, get a quick shot on net, and that's the series. And congrats to the kid. Cheers to you. Well, welcome to the NHL. Let's go. I can't wait to watch your career. And honestly, I just hope to keep seeing you become a powerhouse. That was awesome to see.
You don't come out and do that and then not. And, I think he shows, why he got drafted. And maybe next year he comes in, he plays 82 games, and he starts to really produce for the team. So exciting to see.
Yeah.
Definitely exciting.
Khudobin, phenomenal series. I mean, again, McKinnon, you're the greatest hockey player.
Where did he come from? Khudobin, like a career backup, occasionally a tandem guy or a starter because somebody got hurt, and always been a good goaltender. A lot of good teams pick him up. They like to use him as a backup. Obviously a career NHL guy, doesn't leave the league, but I mean, to see him do what he's doing as a full-time starter, taking the role from a potential Vezina candidate for the last 5 seasons, Ben Bishop. I mean, just overly impressive. So Dallas firing on all cylinders, even when the big boys weren't scoring. You had the Foxes and the and all these guys scoring goals, the third liners and the fourth liners, and just Dallas is on a tear, man. Watch out, Vegas. Watch out. I mean, I thought Vegas were world beaters the first series. I think Vancouver slowed them down a bit. And I think they still are playing great, but, let's head into that series coming off of Dallas here, since we're going to talk about, obviously a Vegas Golden Knights Dallas series coming up. So let's get into
I think we kind of expected, and, when we were talking about this in the last episode, right, we were just expecting kind of being at the 3-1 mark with Vegas already up 2 games on the Canucks, that we were just like, this is going to go. I think we even thought that your prediction could be right, JG, that this could have went in 5, but, then the Canucks just, pull a wild card and start Thatcher Demko, and the guy puts up 42 saves, only lets in 1 goal and somehow saves the Canucks season. And then, stuns you and then I'm just like, okay, I like that. The Golden Knights, that they lost 1, but they're going to come back in 6. I'm going to be right. I'm going to shove it in JG's face. It's going to feel great. But then guess what? The kid puts up another just absolute stud performance and puts up a shutout. And then all of a sudden, we're going to game 7 that I don't think anybody expected after they thought they were starting Thatcher Demko. But guess what? You even had a bit more to know about this kid than I did. And man, was I impressed because
I
I
mean,
think
listen,
because
he
like it
played,
wasn't for lack of trying on Vegas's part. They put up like
I'm
40
almost
shots a game.
positive. I'm almost positive he won a national championship with Boston College. I mean, I know he played there. He was a high draft pick for a goaltender. He played in the World Juniors for USA. I mean, he's been a stud for a long time, and
But still, like,
obviously he played some games this season. You had Markstrom really tearing it for Vancouver. So, I mean, he gets his shot, and I mean, I think now is something we talked about earlier. What does Vancouver do at the end of the season? Like, do you re-sign Markstrom? He was unbelievable for you through the time that he played in the playoffs. Was great. And now you got a guy young, up and coming, 1995 birth year. So what's he, 24 years old? That's usually when a goaltender starts to make his move if he's going to make it. And I think Demko is looking to make it. Do you keep them as a tandem, or do you let Markstrom go out into the pasture and grab a Thomas Greiss or something of that sort, and kind of let
Henrik
Demko,
Lundqvist.
and kind of let Demko make his way. They're not taking Lundqvist with that contract, but just a great goaltender, great performance, impressive. Another BC guy, big BC college hockey fan. So nice to watch him really tear it up there, as just like Kreider and Hayes and a lot of these boys out of BC, really showing what college hockey players could do in the NHL. I mean, it's pretty impressive. Very fun to watch. Obviously, coming from an American who watches a ton of college hockey and knows a lot of kids who played it. It's just good to see a kid like Thatcher Demko go out there and really represent USA hockey and put up 42 saves in a friggin' in a playoff game against maybe a Stanley Cup champion, potentially a team that's just absolutely loaded. So,
I mean, think about us. We got, we have Tyler Wall, stashed in the stables for the Rangers.
Could be very
right?
similar. Could be very similar. I mean,
we don't know what's going to happen. And, a lot of these teams, I really think, we always keep just thinking about how these teams are going to be moving forward into next year. But I really think that the Kraken is coming for a lot of people, and I'm very interested.
I mean, it's going to be very similar. I mean, depending, you can think what you want. It really depends on the GM. I mean, at the end of the day, Vegas went out and got George McPhee, and George McPhee has been around the league doing it for years. And look at what he went and picked up that nobody wanted. Alex Tuch, Shea Theodore. I mean, he picked up 20 guys that nobody wanted. Nate Schmidt. Nobody wanted these guys. Everybody was like, he's a 7th D man. He's a this, that. Shea Theodore could potentially, in the next 4 or 5 years, be right up there with the John Carlsons of the world. Are you watching this kid play? He's an absolute stud. Anaheim handed him off to save other people that aren't half as good as him now. I mean, George McPhee really picked the cream of the crop out of what teams thought was garbage.
Shea Theodore's goal where he dangles 3 players.
Might have been the goal of 2020.
That was so spectacular. The patience, the poise at the blue line to walk 3 players and then snipe the goaltender, that is sick. That is just like, whoop, 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 sorry, snipe, and just make everyone look like they're standing around like a bunch of cones. Like there was just a bunch of cones, and he was just practicing the drill, it looked like, out there. Like you wouldn't have even noticed the difference. And I got to say, you wonder how like someone like that slips through your fingers. But look at Marchessault too. Like he was on the Panthers, right? And then all of a sudden,
one had a big season. You let him go. Maybe he's a mediocre AHL to NHL guy. You're thinking Columbus, same thing. They never really gave him his shot. He bounced all over the league, sat in the AHL like an asshole for no reason. Because I mean, look what you got. You got the Lambo riding.
Stud.
You got the Lambo riding, goal sniping. He's best suit wearing. I mean, he is the man. I mean, at the end of the day, they love him in Vegas. They love him in the room. So much content of him, like on Insta. When the Vegas Golden Knights post the players, Marchessault's always involved. I mean, another garbage toss out for other teams. Look at that's what I'm talking about. The Kraken could very well do this, but I mean, it's really up to the GM. If you do, George McPhee went out and took a flyer on the Oscar Lindberghs and the guys that teams were just like, go ahead. And every one of them has filled a role successfully for Vegas. I mean, it's really impressive. Yeah. Alex Tuch is probably one of the top 3 after this playoff performance. Alex Tuch is one of the top 3 power forwards in all of the NHL. He is scary. He is huge. He's imposing. He can snipe. He can move east to west. He can move north to south. I mean, he is just an animal out there. So, I mean, Vegas, another team that, I mean, we didn't even talk about the superstars. I mean, Paul Stastny, Max Pacioretty, William Karlsson. I mean, you have a laundry list of guys. Mark Stone, who I didn't even mention, one of the most underrated $8.5 million players in the league. And here comes the pup. Stella, get out. Go. He just wanted to come in here and talk about Mark Stone with us. Sorry, man. But Mark Stone, $8.5 million a year, and probably worth more. I mean, have you watched him play? He does everything. He does it all. I mean, Vegas. For me, if Vegas and Tampa Bay don't end up playing each other, I'm going to be really disappointed because that's just a blockbuster series. I mean, you think about the amount of talent, the amount of star power, the amount of skill, the goaltending, all of it. I mean, that would be the most, and me as a hockey fan, the most ideal series to watch.
Yeah, but when you hear Dallas, New York Islanders, you're just like,
like throw up. I mean, the color combination is throw up. Never mind like the TV ratings. The NHL is going to be really upset if that's what happens. Because I mean, let's be honest, who wants to watch the New York Islanders?
I would just be really upset, man. Like I would.
Dallas, I'll watch you all day, Dallas. But I mean, let's be honest. I do. To watch
I just really would be upset if the Knights win the Stanley Cup and we can't have a parade or just go to. I mean, I would want to go to Vegas and go to.
I mean, let's be honest. We are planning our Lightin the Lamp trip. So I mean, whatever happens, happens. But
happens.
Regardless, we're going to be in the city of Las Vegas for this next NHL season, and hopefully we're at a point where we can drag a fan along with us here and have some fun and make a little fun with the Vegas Golden Knights. If they win the cup, we could run around and parade around Las Vegas with the boys maybe for the opening game. I mean, maybe that could be the trip, being that we're probably not going to start till December 1st. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah, we'll see. So, I mean, a lot of things that happen. But
I mean, great.
We got into the Knights. Let's talk a little about the Canucks because I think they need a little bit of love. And I got to say that they're another team, just kind of. I don't want to say kind of like the Islanders, but just a team that we're going to be talking about for a very long time. Just the amount of talent and just like motivation and grit and just like camaraderie, but between that team, I think they're going to be around for a while. They're going to be one of the powerhouses in the West that we're going to have to watch out for.
Absolutely. And imagine, I mean, if you take a look, they really rebuilt as quick as the Rangers did. I mean, they let go of the Sedins around the same time the Rangers wrote the letter, and here we are today. I mean, it's like snap of a finger, just what a good job by the front office and the coaching staff. I mean, and never mind that. Let's go down the laundry list of players. JT Miller, Quinn Hughes, who else? Brock Besser, Bo Horvat.
Bo Horvat had one of the greatest playoffs. Some of his goals were some of the sexiest goals of all the playoffs, I would say as well.
Honestly, Vancouver, when they made that move, I thought they were absolutely crazy. They traded Corey Schneider with Roberto Luongo on his way out the door already. They traded Corey Schneider to the New Jersey Devils for the 9th overall pick. And what do you get? You give the Devils a bust of a tender, and you grab Bo Horvat, who is now your eventual he was your eventual captain. He is now your captain, and he just provided leadership, skill, and hard play. I mean,
tenacity, just like everything, just
all that grit. He gives you everything. He's like a bowling ball. If you knock him down, he's getting back up, and he's coming right back down the lane. He's just an animal out there, and the skill is what everybody knew he was a good player. Obviously, he got picked 9th overall, so you're expected to be a great player. But the skill level in junior was very good. To me, probably not top 10. He had a lot of points and stuff like that. Doesn't impress me. But, I mean, he sure showed you that Vancouver took a flyer on him for a reason because he turned into the captain. And now, after this playoffs, could potentially be a 70, 80-point-a-year guy.
I'm very excited. We didn't even talk about Elias Pettersson either on top of that. We haven't even talked –
We have, I mean, the laundry list of players. I mean, to just think about what Vancouver's done over the last couple of years. Trade-wise, you go and give away a first-round pick for JT Miller, which originally I thought was absolutely horrid. I didn't love it. I love JT Miller. I didn't think at that time he was worth a first-rounder, but boy, did he shove it up my ass sandpaper finish because he might have been the best Vancouver Canuck in the entire playoffs. And, I mean, he showed
– He also was – probably the best trade value we've ever gotten for a player too. After we've shipped
Absolutely.
off everybody, Ronta, Talbot, we've shipped off how many tenders,
I mean, you got to think
Duclair,
about, honestly, I
Pelly,
disagree
everybody.
with that because think about the deal he went in. He went with Ryan McDonough for a first-round pick in Nemesnikov.
McDonough went to Tampa Bay. He didn't go to Vancouver.
So did JT Miller. JT Miller got traded from Tampa Bay.
Oh, that's right. He went to Tampa Bay. That's right. Yeah, and then he got traded.
I didn't like the deal because I thought it was too much going one way to take back $4 million on Nemesnikov and a first-rounder. I mean, for me, I'm extremely upset the Rangers don't have JT Miller right now. He's what you missed in this year's playoffs. He's what you missed in the playoffs. Tenacity, grit, nastiness, doesn't give a shit. He'll go to the cage. He'll fight. He scores goals, assists.
He could be a PP guy. He could be a PK guy. He's everything.
He was a hated guy to play against when he was on the New York Rangers. When we played Pittsburgh, Philly, everybody hated JT Miller. He was always in the mix, always a hand in his face, always somebody cross-checking him. He stirs the pot and is good at doing it while on top of scoring and assists. And he does it all, man. I mean, to be honest, one of the only moves that Jeff Gordon made that really hurt me, I would have rather, and I hate to say it, well, I would rather kept him than Chris Kreider at $7 million. I love Chris Kreider, love the way he plays, but what the Rangers are building right now is for a younger talent, and Chris Kreider is almost 3 years older than JT Miller, and you're talking about a 91 and a 93, and JT Miller's producing at a similar clip. I mean, for me,
I think Chris Kreider is going to be the freak of all nature. I think his athletic ability is just beyond anything.
I think the speed and the leadership of Chris Kreider is why the Rangers keep him, because where you're getting speed on a truck like that, I mean, he's Ovechkin's size and he moves like Elias Pettersson out there or Connor McDavid. He goes 300 miles an hour. So I understand why.
He's been my favorite Ranger for too long, man. Too long.
It would have hurt me to lose him. But just where the Rangers are headed now, it made more sense to me to keep JT Miller. That's just my opinion. I mean, at the end of the day, I like the Kreider contract. I think he's going to be good for another 4 or 5 years. I'm not mad that we kept him. I think he's great. I love him. I just think where the Rangers were headed at that time when they made the deal, they would have been better suited to keep JT Miller. That was my opinion. Kreider proves me wrong all the time. He's absolutely nasty. I love him. One of my favorite Rangers right now. Definitely not mad we kept him, but just, as a Ranger fan, obviously as a Rangers pod, so we're getting a little Rangers like we always do.
I mean, we're still on the Canucks because we're talking about
we are. We're talking Miller, but I mean, just for me, like as a Ranger fan, it hurt to lose JT. There could have been another move made, I feel like, where you could have hung on and, that's a piece that we're missing right now. He's a third-line center. I mean, in New York, he's a second, third-line center right now and a good one, a very good one. So, it's a missing piece of the puzzle, but hats off to Vancouver, man. Pettersson, Miller, Horvat, Besser, Quinn Hughes and Brandon Tanev. You got all these guys back there that, I mean, the goaltending was incredible both ways, Markstrom and Thatcher Demko. So just hats off to Vancouver, period, for being such a young up-and-coming team and really putting the test to a absolute Stanley Cup. Basically they're the favorite horse of the race to go to the Stanley Cup champion. They've been for the last 4 months. And
they were always thought as the Stanley Cup champions.
They really put them to the test. So, complete hats off to Vancouver. I can't even congratulate them enough on what they accomplished. And I think they're coming along for a big time stretch here. So, hats off to them, and let's keep an eye on them because boy, are they going to be good.
The Islanders, the Rangers, the Hawks. I'm still thinking that the Hawks are going to have just a long time between all their players. Just kind of stretching back to the Dominic Kubaliks, the Kirby Docks, the DeBrinkets. You got to still like a lot of young studs coming in on that side, and you still got some years out of Kane. Kane and Tays showed you that they're not going away for a long time too. So. I mean, just a lot of exciting stuff. You see the Golden Knights take it here over Vancouver, but Vancouver gave them every bit of a series as we ever hoped for. So, I mean, honestly, I thought the Vegas Golden Knights were just smothering to the Canucks. I mean, they were getting 40 shots. I thought the Canucks
stole a couple. Obviously, Thatcher Demko stole that game, makes it a 6-game series, and then you steal one more with a shutout, and I think Thatcher Demko kind of put them over the top to get them to that Game 7, and I didn't 100%. think that. there was any way that.
But then there was a 3-0 victory, right? Like they rolled it and they didn't even allow the Canucks to even have a sniff at a victory that game, right? So
yeah, no, I mean, listen, it was an awesome series. I mean, hats off to Vancouver for bringing it 7, and I'm sure we're going to see them going pretty deep next year. So excited,
100%.
excited to watch them play. Excited to watch them play for sure.
Well, I mean, that's really all the series that we have to cover here, fans, and just kind of the round 2 recap. We're definitely going to be hitching you quick here with another episode 17, just kind of covering the Eastern and Western Conference Finals games. Hopefully that you like the content today, and if you can, please like, share, and comment on this, and we'll definitely be coming back to you with more content. So, JG, any final thoughts for the fans here?
Just have a happy Labor Day, ladies and gents. I mean, it's been a great episode here. Yet another one. We thought we were going to go for about 25 minutes, and here we are at about 45 and change. So another great episode with the boys, just ripping it up, drinking beers. Happy Labor Day to you, pal. Enjoy your day with all the friends and the wife, and let's get back after this afternoon here and have a quick one about the up and coming series, the Eastern Conference Finals, headed for the Cup. So. Just a great episode, and happy to talk to you, pal.
All right. Great episode. Cheers, JG.
Salud.
Cheers, fans. Salut. And come back for next episode. But you have a great day and enjoy the Labor Day. Cheers.